Resistance is futile.
Boldly going where no show has gone before. This is The Week in Geek with David D. Squared and Brian Held. Heard live on News Talk 99.5 WRNO and the iHeartRadio app. Here are your hosts, Brian Held and D. Squared.
Greetings, people of Earth. This is The Week in Geek, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. I'm your host, D Squared, along with
Brian Held.
How are you, buckaroo?
Oh, man, it's been quite the week. While you were at the Crew of Jingle Parade yesterday, I was on set for that.
What? Hashtag set life?
Yes, yeah. So it was a lot of fun. We
Are
were
you
hanging
still
out.
doing that depressing CPA documentary? Because that's what you look like, a depressed CPA.
Oh, with the suit and everything?
God, yes.
Yeah, no, I was a pedestrian. So. But
that's very pedestrian.
Yeah.
All right, we want to welcome everybody in because obviously we had the Pelicans just wrap up their game. They won, yay for them.
All right.
So we're good. We're back on the stream. We're back live on the air right now. So for all those that were maybe concerned about what's going on,
there you
just
go.
Explain it to them. All right, so let's set up the show.
Right.
We got top nerd news to start things off, and then we got Skungy and his pick of the week.
Yes. And then in studio with us, we have Mr. Ted Walley. He is a local comic book artist and graphic designer. We're going to talk to him. And then we're going to close out the show. We're going to skip history and go into an interview with Mr. Tom Rasch. He is also a comic book artist, and he has some projects that are coming out that we talked to him about earlier this week.
Need I remind you about those that forget their history?
Oh, well, true.
And now, your top nerd news stories from around the world, brought to you by the Viridian Tea Company. Find them on Etsy. And now, your top nerd news stories. All right, Brian, what's topping us off today, Paleo pal of mine?
Well, I guess we need to start talking about Netflix.
Netflix?
Yeah, because...
Were they doing something?
Well, yeah, they canceled Marvel's Daredevil earlier this week, man.
That is probably... I'm not going to say I'm shocked. I'm more pissed than anything, really. I mean, that was one of the best series that they had.
Yeah.
I mean, that really was a fantastic series. Oh, Walley, stop shaking your head. So, but no, I loved it, and it spun off, Luke Cage and everybody else.
Right,
I mean,
all the Defenders, yeah. And Punisher.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. And now, look, Jessica Jones is currently filming. The Punisher Season 2 is already in the can. But I can guarantee you, once they play, that they're going to get canceled now because the writing is already there on the wall.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the big question is, where's it going to go?
Nowhere. It's not going to go anywhere because Disney doesn't want to do a mature adult themes.
Well, but why do you say that, Dave?
Because somehow it slipped past our radar in August. It was released by a lot of people. It just didn't make national headlines or our headlines for some reason.
Well, what exactly was released?
From Disney, that they are not going to put out any adult-themed content. It's all going to be family-friendly stuff. So no mature themes, no R ratings. It's all going to be PG-13 kind of crap. So that means all the bow chicka wow wow and Jessica Jones and all the just kick-ass fighting and cussing that made Daredevil and the Punisher. How can you have the Punisher family-friendly? It's not possible.
Well, what? But can't you see the writing on the wall, Dave? It's clear as day.
You're being facetious right now, and I don't know what you're getting at.
It's called multi-tiered offerings of Disney's content, right?
Crap.
I can
You're so full of it.
What do you mean?
They're not going to have different tiers. All right, for all you dirty pornographers, you can get the Super Disney Horror Plus version. No, that's not going to happen.
Well,
it's not going to be a la carte. I just want the boobs, no muff.
All right.
No, that's not going to happen.
All right. Look, today is what, December 2nd today? I'm going to put $1. All right, you got a dollar that we're going to see tiered content come from Disney Plus.
Is this suddenly trading places with Dan
in on
Aykroyd?
This. Yeah, so you're in. Are you on my side against
that
Dave?
Hold on,
okay.
Mike. All right, you're Ted. Your mic's on. All right, so wait, are you saying they're going to actually sell tiers of Disney where it's going to be like kid friendly?
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you exactly what they're going to do.
What
they're going to do is it's almost going to be a combination of both of what you guys are saying. There's going to be a tiered version of it because Disney, as much as they say or they're planning to do this kind of family-friendly sort of thing, the Disney Plus, the new Disney television shows are going to be done by Marvel's movie people,
right?
Not the television people,
right?
So it's going to be a lot more of like your Thor Ragnarok.
Well, I mean, I'm fine with that, but there's no adult themes in that, though. And then Jon Favreau is going to do the Star Wars thing, but obviously that's going to be – there's not a whole lot of Bow Chicka Wow Wow in Star Wars either.
Well, right, yeah. And the thing is that – and we did talk about this a while ago, and Ted, you bring a good point. The TV side of the Marvel house and the movie side of the Marvel house are just pitted in this egotistical fight, you know.
And Disney is actually kind of fed up with it. I mean, when Phage said, you know, it's either I got to be able to do my thing and not answer to Perlmutter, and they said, yeah, you get your side of it, and he's going to do his side of it.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the TV side, they did get renewed for season 7, but probably after that, that's going to get canceled too.
Well, one of the other things that I was reading, and this came out from Forbes too, was the money side of the Netflix deal, where they have all the metrics, and a lot of people were coming to Netflix not really just for the Star Wars and all the Disney stuff they had. It was added value.
Right.
Now, maybe some of them had come over there initially for that, but then Netflix started pouring money into their own new content, and that's what they're doing with that. So I think you and I had this conversation a year or so ago where it's like, okay, eventually when the Disney Plus stuff broke, we're like, all right, well, that's really going to hurt Netflix. That was my initial take. But the thing is, it's all going to be over there. So Netflix has just just from a capitalist point of view, you're not going to keep all of their stuff in your window and say, hey, come look at all these great products we have that belong to Disney, while they're literally across the street with neon signs and half-off prices.
Right.
So they're not going to try to promote Disney stuff when they're a competing service.
And Netflix does have some controlling share in the Defender series, right? So that if Disney were to try to pull that over to their Plus service,
right,
they would have to pay Netflix.
Well, yeah, but Netflix is buying all that IP from them anyway. So, I mean, at the end of the day, they're technically going to save money, but the real question is how much it impacts their viewership and people subscribing to their service. I think at this point, Netflix has created so much new content. I mean, look, every time I go on Netflix, there's something brand new that these guys are putting out there, and it's household names, like your boy Aquaman, whose household name I can't remember right now. And
Momoa.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that Frontier show. There's a bunch of good stuff on there.
Well, Netflix real recently did a purge of new content where they canceled a bunch of shows that they'd sunk a lot of money into, and I don't know if they were performing as well as they would have liked, but Netflix, and I know is kind of first-handish, second-handish maybe, they're investing a lot into new content. They knew this was coming, and so yeah, I think they're under they're going to try and reinvent themselves.
Well, we're in the rabbit hole now, but let's bring it back though. But no, seriously.
And speaking of new content, I was on that new content yesterday on set.
But the dollar bet. You're going to try to tell me that they're going to have like
tiered content. They're going to be
R-rated.
I don't know about R-rated.
Well, that's what it boils down to.
But essentially, yeah, I am saying that you're going to get children's level, family level, R-rated level. I'm $1 right now. This is being recorded. Right,
I'm on it.
I don't believe that.
And Ted's in on this.
I'll put $1. I don't believe that at all.
So you're going to owe Ted $1 and me $1.
As a parent, I want to watch boobs. Okay, so I'm going to pay for the boobs. All right, so that means I got the top tier level, got boobie level.
Right.
What about my 5-year-old Dean? I don't want him seeing boobies. So what? You're
going to have to exercise some parental controls on your devices, Dave.
That's what it's going to be.
No, because Disney knows that we're stupid. Disney knows that the average American household is too lazy to go in there and set parental locks. I got a gun lock. I ain't got no parental locks on my stuff. I was about to drop another word.
Well, but okay. Well, speaking of stupidity, did you want to talk about this Tom Hanks and Pinocchio deal? What?
I'll take that as a no.
These are the reboots. These are the reboots that make me sick.
Okay.
Right? Where they're remaking everything live action. Instead of rebooting the cartoon versions, because you can't make a new Beauty and the Beast, we got to make it live action. We can't make a new Jungle Book, we got to make it live action. But now we're going to do Pinocchio, it's going to be freaking live action.
It's not live action, it's CGI, so it's technically
with live action.
It's still technically
Mowgli was a real human being surrounded by CGI cats and dogs and
so it's still technically animated.
Right.
Mowgli was not animated.
Motion capture.
Motion capture.
Yes. But
I hate it. I hate it. I
Look,
hate it. I
well,
hate it. I hate it.
part of the problem is that they can't fill a warehouse full of like 500 animators to do all the cell animation like they used to do.
Correct.
So that's probably why they're going this route. It's probably cheaper. I mean, honestly, I don't care. You know, it is a complete reboot. Why do we need another Pinocchio?
We don't.
Exactly.
We don't. But
can
you know
tell
what we
you
need?
why.
We need
Why, Ted?
Money. No, I'm not even
I thought he
in
had
the sense of, this is what we're kind of talking about, is that Disney is not dumb. They know what they have. They purchase things on a very, smart level. So now you're going to see a package of the original Jungle Book packaged with a Blu-ray of the CGI version of it. Because
if you love the cartoon, you'll hate this. If you hated the cartoon,
it's gonna be a double. I mean, and we know this from when we bought VHSs of everything, and then they released them as sets,
Right.
when they started doing sets, and we were all sitting there saying, oh, God, I just bought all these individual copies, and there's all sorts of stuff on those sets that I want to see.
I had to go rebuy all the Star Wars stuff,
Exactly.
too, just so I could have it in one nice little thing that fit me. Now, look, the other thing that I was thinking about, it just 2008 is when Iron Man came out. Going back to the tier thing. I know I should drop it, but I can't.
Okay.
In 2008, let's say the average 14-year-old who really loved the movie, like my 5-year-old, when DJ and I were watching Iron Man, he's like, "What's this?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, son, I failed you. Sit down, let me start it over again." They haven't seen it, but DJ, who's like 12, well, all right. So in 2008, somebody was say 14. Now they're 24. They got their own jobs. They got their money. They want to see boobs. Okay, everything is growing. That's why I don't see how Disney is going to make these adult themed stuff, and they're not doing the tier thing.
If anyone is going to figure it out, it's going to be Disney.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? All right.
I don't see how it's going to happen.
You went back down the rabbit hole.
Jordan Peele.
Yes.
Jordan Peele, Candyman.
Reboot.
It's not a reboot. It's not a reboot.
All right. So Jordan Peele's...
They're gentrifying over the projects, and Candyman is pissed.
Hold
I'm
on.
down with that.
For the listeners, Jordan Peele's Candyman is confirmed and set for a 2020 release.
I'm excited.
The article states that it is a spiritual successor to the previous releases of
So
Candyman.
it's Candyman 2, but not really, because 2 and 3 were, honestly, they were garbage. You know? But Candyman was awesome.
If they
I
were going
still
to
won't turn out the lights.
that's why I'm
and say his
excited
name.
about it.
What
is because we all see it in terms of we all joke around. We watch Sci-Fi Channel and all the CGI shark movies and stuff like that, and we laugh. We were like, man, how did this even get aired? And franchises like this that do a good movie and then they do all these crappy sequels, it makes us sick. That's why I'm really kind of excited about this in terms of he's going to take something and he knows it and he respects it, and that he's going to do, for lack of a better way to put it, the sequel that should have happened.
Yes.
And that's why I'm kind of excited about it.
I mean, it's like the Chucky thing we're talking about, where that's a reboot, but it's a reimagining. They're trying to changing it up a bit, so I'm not as pissed about that one.
So wait,
I just hate when they're gonna, we're gonna make the exact same flipping movie, but we're gonna recast it and maybe change a detail here or two.
All right, so kind of like Carl Urban's take on Dredd versus Stallone's.
Correct.
Yes!
Correct.
Yes. Right. One was stupid. One was like I was afraid of that Dredd.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Okay,
I am the law.
I'm probably still not going to go see this.
It's fine. You can be all pissy.
All right, can we talk about Titans real quick?
Yes, we can.
All right,
we got time. Skungy can wait.
That's fine. So, I have been keeping up with I'm completely caught up on Titans.
All right.
And it's such a weird train wreck because one week I'll watch an episode and I'm like, okay, I'm strangely intrigued for the next, and then I'll watch the next week's. Yeah, and then it's like, what was that? I don't even understand what you just showed me. And then here we go. We have Dick Grayson, right?
Yeah.
Is a mass murderer after the events of 2 episodes ago.
Okay, I know where you're going, but explain to the audience because I have a different take. But go ahead.
Okay, so basically, they're chasing after Raven. They roll into this insane asylum. Starfire's going to light the place up.
They get in prison. They all escape. They fight their way out, knock people unconscious.
But it's important that you know that when they get initially captured, Starfire's going to light the place up, and Robin says, "No, stop! Right, we're gonna kill everybody."
Right.
And on the way out, as they're leaving.
Guards are unconscious. Scientists are unconscious.
Right. And Robin looks at Starfire and says, light them up. and she friggin' lights the whole place up and kills everybody, including the potential of prisoners who are captured and hanging
just
out
like
in this
those
place.
innocent contractors on the Death Star, right?
Exactly. And even still, even if you're like, okay, there was no innocence in there, it was all the bad guys. Heroes aren't supposed to work like that. They're not supposed to kill the bad guys.
But in that. When he was watching the asylum burn down, he saw his old Robin costume burning in the fires. He didn't wear that costume in there, so he could still be all hopped up on poppers and pain pills right now, and it's just an illusion.
It was all a dream. That doesn't hold any water because of the fact that they found her mother. Her mother was retrieved from the place. Right, and here's the question. Okay. Here's the real question: is DC salvageable anymore? The DC TV and movie universes, because they had Batman start killing people in Justice League or the Dawn of Justice. Right,
he's already a murderer, so why not just go on a murder spree in the DC universe?
I guess.
I mean, is DC salvageable?
Well, are you watching any of the CW stuff? No. Well,
all right. No, I'd like to. I just don't have time.
Okay, but honestly, at this point, no, I don't think it's salvageable. I will continue watching it till the end of this season and then kill my subscription. But I'm like
a comic book guy,
right? Have you watched any of it?
No, it's in the queue, but I got a lot of stuff on my drawing table right now that I got to kind of plow through.
Is DC salvageable though? Like from the movie and TV sides?
Yes and no. DC is always kind of started off kind of behind the eight ball because most of their characters, their mainstream characters, they were all gods. So it was kind of hard to relate to, the guy that could turn the planet Earth backwards to save Lois Lane, and the multimillionaire who is also a ninja and
the world's greatest detective. Right?
And stuff like that. They were all kind of, the guy with the green ring that could create anything he can imagine, so they were all kind of gods, and it was hard to relate to. But there's still something to it in terms of, also with gods is that, the Romans and the Greeks, kind of proved that they could tell lots of stories about these things, that people could enjoy the lores. So I think it could still be salvageable. It just takes a unified vision, and that's where they keep swinging and missing at.
Right.
I hate to say it, not from the Marvel formula, but from the Kevin Feige formula. Putting someone who you're giving him the trust to take these things and do something with him because he's a nerd and he gets it.
Yeah. All right, break time, right?
Yes.
Guys, stay tuned. When we get back, we're going to talk to Skungy and get his pick of the week. You're listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
Boldly going where no bar has gone before. The Bad Wolf is a bar, restaurant, and game shop all in one. You can't beat our specialty drinks, fresh food, and a variety of RPGs, board games, and miniature games for sale or rent. Stop by and hang out, or attend one of our regularly scheduled events, all in a non-smoking environment. The Bad Wolf Bar and Grill is located at 2010 O'Connor Street in Gretna, or find us at badwolfbar.com. The Bad Wolf Bar and Grill, where everybody knows your game.
Friends, is your morning tea just not your cup of tea? Then try the tea blends of Viridian Tea Company. At Viridian Tea Company, they sell blends guaranteed to make you think outside the box. With such blends as My Enemy's Tears, Goth Librarian, Cyberpunk, and many more, your tea experience will be out of this world. Look for the blends at Tubby & Coo's Mid-City Bookshop, located at 631 North Carrollton, or on Etsy at Viridian Tea Company. Try Viridian Tea Company today. Your taste buds will thank you.
You've waited for it, and now it's here. Get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt and help support our show. These 100% cotton black t-shirts with the Week in Geek Radio Show logo are going fast. So don't wait. Go to twigradio.com and order your shirt now. Just go to twigradio.com and get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt. $15 up to XL, $17 for 2X and 3X. That's twigradio.com.
Mata Hari, Agent H21, is a spy fiction short story anthology about the famous dancer, seductress, and spy from World War I. Mata Hari, Agent H21, published by Pro Se Productions, has 7 rip-roaring adventure tales about the world-famous super spy that features her battling her enemies by using any weapons at her disposal. Mata Hari, Agent H21 is available for purchase in ebook and paperback formats on Amazon.com.
Do you have a message or logo that you need the world to see? Then rely on the folks at Gretna Signworks to use their expertise to deliver your design. With over 15 years in business, Gretna Signworks can do commercial and yard signs, banners, screen-printed t-shirts, magnetic signs, vehicle graphics and lettering, and so much more. Gretna Signworks also has an exceptional network of suppliers, so no job is out of scope. Find Gretna Signworks on Facebook or visit them at 2125 Bell Chase Highway today.
Everyone listen! No one quits! This is Casper Van Dien, Johnny Rico from Starship Troopers, and you're listening to the Week in Geek radio show! Come on, you apes! You want to live forever? Kill them all! You know what to do! Service guarantees citizenship!
Welcome back into the Week in Geek. I love the energy, Casper. Way to go. This is D Squared along with
Brian Held.
Oh, man, Brian, you know, it's the worst part of my day.
Nope.
I am not what you would call a handsome man.
Skungy's Pick of the Week is brought to you by GameStop and ThinkGeek.com.
Skungy's Pick of the Week.
He might be an idiot savant.
Woohoo!
Skungy, what's shaking, bacon?
If you want to describe DC movies, dumpster fire equals DC.
I guess so, yeah.
But speaking of dumpster fires, our review this day is Fallout 76.
Is that a dumpster fire?
Brian, what do you think?
I think that
The Bethesda fanboy speaks. We listen.
I think that they are currently facing a PR nightmare for the game that they've released. I am not quite in the dumpster fire, boat. However,
He's getting pretty close. He's on the dock.
My interest in playing this game is honestly very lackluster. I want to like this game,
right,
because I love Fallout, but I'm like, man, I'm really busy. I got a lot of stuff going on.
Brian, your description right there is perfect for this game. All right. I've played so many Fallout games, and I'm like you. I absolutely love Fallout. I see Fallout, and I'm like, oh, my God, I want to delve into this world, because the Fallout world is so rich with stories and things to do. And this one is, the best way to describe it is, I was all alone. There was no one here beside me. There was nothing. There's no one around. The fact that they pulled up all human interaction other than the 20 or so people in the MMO space of it, it honestly killed the story and everything about this game.
So, Skungy, one of the things that I've been telling folks is that throughout, all of Bethesda's games, like the whole Elder Scrolls series and stuff, there are certain elements of each game that are awesome, that you love, especially the story and the narrative. But then there's other aspects of the game that are somewhat monotonous. Like when I go into that hovel over there, I have to search every chest in drawer and everything, and I'm going to find an apple again, or I'm going to find a wrench or whatever for the 50th millionth time. But, I mean, that's just sort of that compulsive behavior that you get into. Yeah. But that's the monotony of the game. And I feel like Fallout 76 has only enhanced the monotony of their systems and removed all of the good content. That's kind of how I feel about it. There is a narrative, but its delivery is very weak.
Absolutely. The crafting system is so... Like all we want you to do is craft, to the point where they make it part of your main mission. You have to craft this. You have to craft that, instead of going out and exploring the world like what you're supposed to do in a Fallout game.
That was the most fun of every Fallout game, just finding random ass crap in the middle of the wasteland of just like some dude playing with his dolls. It's like, all right, that just got weird, but okay, cool.
And there is some of that. It's just, who cares, right? It's kind of how it's delivered.
In that part of it, it's more along the lines of, when you had the other Fallout games, it's like the world was talking to you.
Yes.
In this world, it feels like, because there's nothing organic, it's all like robot or pre-recorded, it feels like the game's talking at you. It's not like you are part of the story. It feels like you just happen to run along, and it's like, oh, you're a warm body. This is what you need to do, instead of like, oh, I want to talk to you. I want to share this experience with you. How do you feel about this? And then you would key in on your choices of the dialogue tree of where to go with the story. You don't get that in this.
Nope. So ultimately, for the listeners out there who are like, what the hell are these guys talking about? Fallout 76 is a first-person shooter, the sixth in its,
Lightly.
right, in the sixth edition in the series, right? And you are playing a survivor 25 years after a nuclear annihilation, emerging from a vault. And the main mission is that you're following your overseer, the person who ran the vault.
Okay.
But every time you find one of the places that they've been, all you have is this little recording tape to listen to, and you listen to her voice tell you about this place you were
The
at.
princess is not in this castle. Please move on to the next one.
Pretty much.
All right.
Pretty much. And then, you take all of those elements, everything that Skungy and I have mentioned before, right? And then add on top of it bugs, right? And glitches and server disconnects.
It's truly, I mean, I wanted to like this game. I wanted to give it a lot. I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt, but man, it's really, really hard when, like, Bethesda should know better. I mean, there's so much about this game that they wanted to push forward, and they have a fan base. It's not like they're making a game that people aren't going to automatically buy just because of the name. They're going to buy it. It's like, it's Fallout, I'm going to buy it. It seems like we've been jilted. And then apart from the fact of problems with the game, there's problems outside of the game that's putting them in a lot of hot water.
Okay, so which one are you specifically talking about? Because there's the refund problem.
There's a refund problem. So 1 week after the game releases, they drop the price by $20.
Yep.
So people who bought the game at retail first day, they're like, well, wait a minute. This is a week later. It's not like, 2 or 3 months down the line and we decided to discount the game for a sale. No. 1 week later and you drop it $20. So people are demanding a refund on that. And then you have the poor schmoes like Brian and myself.
Yeah, so we're talking hashtag Baggate for
Baggate.
Right. The collector's edition, right? Now, Skungy and I are such big fans that we didn't pay. We saw collector's edition, take our money, right?
Okay,
Give us the.
right.
It didn't matter. But in the description of the collector's edition, it says you get a helmet with this nice canvas helmet carrying bag.
Canvas. Okay. Let's emphasis on the word canvas, which means hard, rugged material.
Right. When we got said collector's edition, there was a nylon helmet carrying bag, very cheaply made.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Like if you wash it on warm water, it's probably going to fall apart.
Why would you wash it?
Well, right. But regardless, so somebody reached out to Bethesda and was like, hey, man, this is a false advertisement. And they had a temp employee manning the customer service and who was like, yeah, we were aware there was material shortages and we're not going to do anything about it.
Oh, yes. That's awesome.
Right. And then Bethesda further came out and they're like, hey, that's not our normal customer service process.
This is the best train wreck ever.
However, we're still not going to do anything about it, but we're going to give you 500 Atom credits on your account, for your trouble.
Wow.
You get to buy a T-shirt in the game.
Right. 500 Atom credits equates to about $5 in real-world currency, but not really because it's virtual currency, so it doesn't really cost them anything.
Maybe you could buy a canvas bag in the game.
50 shares of Bitcoin.
You need 2,000 Atom credits to buy the mailman skin that has an actual canvas bag. So,
wow.
So $20 as opposed to $5.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like Bethesda really, I mean, for lack of a better term, they crapped the bed on this.
Yes.
All right? It's like, I can't. I honestly, I wanted to like this. I really did. I wanted to give it a shot.
Yeah.
I cannot, in good conscience, recommend this to anybody.
Okay.
Do not buy it until it gets to a price tag of $20 or under.
Okay, well, Skungy, for those folks who are not going to buy it, what are the price and platforms for this wonderful game?
Man, okay, so it is $59.99 for a full price of this game. $59.99 on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, or PC. Or you can be an even bigger schmo and for $79.99 get the Tricentennial Edition, which comes with a couple of extra skins for the game.
There you go.
I'm just happy that you use schmo in a sentence.
Yes. All right, Skungy, we have to get to our wonderful guest in studio, so we got to cut you loose.
All right, no problem, brother. Dumpster fire hashtag.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Skungy. I'm not going to fire him today because I'm highly entertained by that.
Awesome. All right, guys, stay tuned. When we get back, we're going to have our guest, Ted Walley, tell us all about this latest project he's working on. You're listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
Boldly going where no bar has gone before. The Bad Wolf is a bar, restaurant, and game shop all in one. You can't beat our specialty drinks, fresh food, and a variety of RPGs, board games, and miniature games for sale or rent. Stop by and hang out or attend one of our regularly scheduled events, all in a non-smoking environment. The Bad Wolf Bar and Grill is located at 2010 O'Connor Street in Gretna, or find us at badwolfbar.com. The Bad Wolf Bar and Grill, where everybody knows your game.
Friends, is your morning tea just not your cup of tea? Then try the tea blends of Viridian Tea Company. At Viridian Tea Company, they sell blends guaranteed to make you think outside the box. With such blends as My Enemy's Tears, Goth Librarian, Cyberpunk, and many more, your tea experience will be out of this world. Look for the blends at Tubby & Coo's Mid-City Bookshop, located at 631 North Carrollton, or on Etsy at Viridian Tea Company. Try Viridian Tea Company today. Your taste buds will thank you.
Do you have a message or logo that you need the world to see? Then rely on the folks at Gretna Signworks to use their expertise to deliver your design. With over 15 years in business, Gretna Signworks can do commercial and yard signs, banners, screen-printed t-shirts, magnetic signs, vehicle graphics and lettering, and so much more. Gretna Signworks also has an exceptional network of suppliers, so no job is out of scope. Find Gretna Signworks on Facebook or visit them at 2125 Belle Chase Highway today. You've waited for it, and now it's here. Get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt and help support our show. These 100% cotton black t-shirts with the Week in Geek Radio Show logo are going fast. So don't wait. Go to twigradio.com and order your shirt now. Just go to twigradio.com and get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt. $15 up to XL, $17 for 2X and 3X. That's twigradio.com.
Hey, this is Jason Douglas. Actually, this is Beerus the Destroyer, and you're listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
Welcome back. This is The Week in Geek. I'm your host, D Squared, along with
Brian Held.
Brian, it's time to introduce Ted. Of course, we've been talking to him the whole beginning.
We have.
Ted, what's up, buddy?
Yeah.
What's up, guys?
So, of course, our guest in studio, Ted Walley, he is a professor of graphic design. He's also a freelance comic book artist who's been working on his own series for a number of years. We're going to talk about that in a second. So, Ted, out of the gate, I wanted to ask you, so you're a professor of graphic design, which kind of, in my mind, equates to more commercially related sort of art, and
Correct.
yet you are this freelance comic book artist, which kind of, I think of more of a creative, expressive sort of art. So how does the two merge together? Do they complement one another, or?
Kind of, sort of. I just want to add, because I know my wife's listening, that I'm not only a professor of graphic design and illustration and animation, but I was one of the nation's best 2 years in a row, named best professor. So
Nice.
It does kind of tie in, and the commercial art kind of pays the bills, sort of thing. And if anyone's ever seen the Gulf Coast Bank and Trust Flying Pigs commercial,
Okay.
they usually run it down here during the Super Bowl, no matter who's playing. Yeah, I'm one of the guys that animated the pigs flying.
Nice.
And,
Okay.
and I did the storyboards for it. So, yeah, it kind of, sometimes it squeezes in, but most of the time it's just a bunch of advertising, selling people a bunch of things that they don't need, like Fallout 76. Too soon?
Well
Nope,
done.
Nope. Well done. Always bring it around full circle.
Thank you. That's
Appreciate
the way
that.
the bit works.
So, of course, I wanted to mention that Dave, the last time you were in studio was all the way back August 29th, 2015,
Sweet Jesus.
which that episode doesn't exist on the internet anywhere.
Yeah.
Is that we're at the station down the dial?
Yes, we were down the street at that other studio, and they do have some of those episodes out there, but Ted's just disappeared. It's gone. Yeah,
That's the way I work, folks.
See, you must have foes out there that you're not aware of.
No, it's a High Plains drifter sort of thing. I just kind of fade into the heat wave in the distance.
So, because of that, I wanted to kind of start with Mathilda, the Forces of Evil versus the Third Grade.
Correct.
What is it?
It's Hellboy meets Hit Girl. Is pretty much that's the tagline. No, I'm seriously. In all this time, past couple of years, talking to various Hollywood people that have been interested in kind of trying to turn it into a cartoon, and I've had to sum it up. And I mean, it's better than Alien being sold as Jaws in Outer Space. So mine is Hellboy meets Hit Girl.
No, that's awesome. Now you have had a graphic novel out for a while, and you just completed your second graphic novel for the series?
Correct. It takes me, each chapter in the graphic novel takes me about a year to do because not only the day job and, my family and things like that, but I write it, draw it, ink it, letter it, and color it. So it's a process.
Oh, absolutely. So, and I mean, this is 100% you. There's nobody else working on this.
All me.
Wow. And how many pages in each graphic novel?
It varies. I'm trying to up the game, so the new one is 88 pages of story and art, and the first one was probably about maybe 44.
Okay. So, and most average comic books nowadays are 22 pages.
An average comic book is about 22 pages of actual story and art.
All right. No, that's cool. So, I mean, now that the second graphic novel is out, I mean, where are we at in the story?
We pick up where the first one kind of takes off at, where she has already fought a demon and in the schoolyard, and so the second one kind of picks up where that leaves off, where she's fighting another, and but this one's a little different in terms of it's not this big, gigantic, huge sort of monster. It's a legion who's possessing everyone in the town to try and capture her. So this is one where she's got to kind of learn, how can she beat something that she can't shoot, she can't punch, she can't fight in her ways that she's comfortable with. So it's mixing in this kind of stuff with all the stuff to make her grow as a character and the things that she's got to learn about the human condition, which is one of the conditions that she's been tasked to do. So I got to start kind of telling that in the story to show her start to develop. And
Mathilda, right, is a demon from hell that is trying to get into heaven, right?
Yeah, the general, so I guess I didn't answer it too accurately before, but yeah, she is the firstborn daughter of Lucifer, and specifically of Lucifer with a human host, so kind of a Rosemary's Baby sort of thing there.
Nice.
And, and so as leader of Hell's armies, she finds out that her dad's master plan is to destroy everything in the universe, and that includes her. And so she doesn't want to die, and so she sells her soul to God. And God gives her 3 stipulations that she has to do. She has to stop her dad from destroying everything, understand the value of the human condition, the human spirit, why God favors the man over all these creations, and she's got past the 3rd grade.
Right.
I'm not lying.
Yeah,
That's part of it. So.
No, that's good deal. Now, there was 2 other things you wanted to talk about.
Yes.
Only one of which I can remember right this second, and that involved Anthony Mackie, Frank Grillo, and some other folks. What
Oscar winner Marcia Gay Harden.
Okay, what was that project?
The project is called Point Blank, and it is a Netflix original. And it's supposed to air, I think they said, in the summer 2019.
All right, and what's your involvement with that?
A guy that I worked with on SuperCon, actually, Freddie Woff, who did a lot of production design work, was doing the production design work on this, and he called me and sent a text saying, hey, he was looking for some art to be done on this movie, pretty big art project, and wanted to know if I was free. And Freddie and I share a kind of unique sort of brainwave, so I love working with Freddie, and it's always a blast. So as I tell him, I can clear a schedule, and so I can't reveal what we worked on because we want to do a no spoilers thing, but it's a pretty awesome scene.
All right, cool. Do we have to wrap?
We do, but here's the deal. So we got something else coming up in the next segment, but we're going to do bonus content since we got Ted here.
Sweet.
So in the podcast, after the end of You Hear the Legal ID, we got bonus stuff coming up afterwards.
Fantastic.
Groovy.
Because we talked so much during Top Nerd News. So, but I want to hear. And what's the other project? We got 30 seconds.
It's going to be an art show at the Crescent City Brew House this Tuesday, where I have some exclusive Mathilda art hanging up for sale, and it's a nice free spread of free beer and food upstairs. Really good stuff.
How do people get more information about that and you?
Please do.
VoodooMaverick.com, or you can find them on Facebook, right?
Yeah, or Google my name, and that's the first thing that shows up.
All right, cool. We will have bonus content after the show. Guys, stay tuned. When we get back, Tom Rasch is going to tell us all about his projects, Adventures of Salem Tusk. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
Friends, is your morning tea just not your cup of tea? Then try the tea blends of Viridian Tea Company. At Viridian Tea Company, they sell blends guaranteed to make you think outside the box. With such blends as My Enemy's Tears, Goth Librarian, Cyberpunk, and many more, your tea experience will be out of this world. Look for the blends at Tubby & Coo's Mid-City Bookshop, located at 631 North Carrollton, or on Etsy at Viridian Tea Company. Try Viridian Tea Company today. Your taste buds will thank you.
Boldly going where no bar has gone before. The Bad Wolf is a bar, restaurant, and game shop all in one. You can't beat our specialty drinks, fresh food, and a variety of RPGs, board games, and miniature games for sale or rent. Stop by and hang out, or attend one of our regularly scheduled events, all in a non-smoking environment. The Bad Wolf Bar and Grill is located at 2010 O'Connor Street in Gretna, or find us at badwolfbar.com. The Bad Wolf Bar and Grill, where everybody knows your game.
Welcome back to The Week in Geek, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. Like them on Facebook at The Week in Geek Radio Show. Here are your hosts, D Squared and Brian Held.
This is Brian Held with the Week in Geek Radio Show on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. And I'm joined by a very special guest. He's a comic book creator, a concept artist, and a content creator, Mr. Tom Rasch. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, man. You're a busy guy, but let's step back for a second and kind of talk about where you got started. You have done freelancing for a long time, but way back in the 90s, you did some work for Marvel, and I guess that was your first big break?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of surprising because, like, that was me. Well, let me back up a little bit from that. So I had wanted to be a comic book artist or penciler since I was in grade school. And I had two goals, probably late grade school or junior high, and that was either draw comic books, and especially for Marvel, or write and direct films. And I decided at the time, I didn't know much about the film world, but I assumed that I kind of didn't have the personality to swim with the sharks in Hollywood.
All right.
So I decided, but I'm passionate about storytelling. So I thought comic books seemed like another way to do that. And so that was a goal of mine for a number of years. And then I started doing research as I got a little bit older in my teens. I'm like, well, how does actually one do that? You know, how do you actually get a job working in the comic book industry? And so I started reading about, like, sometimes, people would send samples. And when the comic book conventions really started taking off, they were like, well, you know, it's probably a good idea to sort of get your work in front of editors so you can get a face-to-face. So around the summer of 1989, I decided to go to my first Comic-Con in San Diego. And it was quite a different thing then because, you know, it was in a different convention center. It wasn't quite as big. So you could actually just walk up to, like, Marvel or DC in these booths and maybe only have to wait 5 or 10 minutes to talk to somebody.
Wow.
And so the very first time that I went, I brought every mistake that you can think of that they tell newbies. You know, I didn't bring very many sequential pages. And I at the time I marked, you know, I did inking like in magic marker. And so when I got to that convention, I pretty much got ripped to shreds. I started from the big ones first. I started with DC and Marvel, and they basically said, you know, you're not ready, you know, go back and basically work on some of the things that we've mentioned. And as I went to the smaller companies, I sort of got the same answer. And I basically was told, even by one company that shall remain nameless, that I probably should just become a truck driver.
Wow.
That it wasn't for me. So I walked away from that experience kind of with my tail between my legs, but I ended up going to an inker, Carl Kessel, and he was one of my favorite inkers when John Byrne was working on Superman in the mid-'80s, and he actually gave me some encouragement, you know, and that's probably what I kind of needed to hear after sort of kind of getting ripped apart left and right. You know, he gave me the advice, and so I took a couple of years off and decided to go to a comic book convention again, and so the next time I went, I started with DC again, and they actually asked me who I was working for.
Really? Okay.
So it was like kind of an immediate, them asking, and even when I talked to Marvel, one of the guys there that did the portfolio review took my samples because I did everything. Not only did I work on my storytelling, but I also worked on how to present your work. And they said, at the time, don't leave originals, leave Xeroxes of 3 to 5 sequential pages, and that's exactly what I left with them. So I think that was part of the battle. And like I said, I tried to work on some of the things that Carl Kessel had recommended. So a few months went by. And I got a call from Marvel asking if I wanted to work from them. So that was probably maybe 3 or 4 months down the road. And at the time, I thought my roommate was playing a practical joke.
Right.
I didn't believe it. So I basically went from, like I said, 2 or 3 years prior being told I didn't have a future, and then coming back, and then, Marvel was the company that called offering me work.
Now, you also have another dream of building on your own properties, on your own ideas. And one of those has come to fruition as Black Alpha. You've been working on this for a long time. Can you tell us where you're at with that?
Well, yeah. First of all, Black Alpha was a creation of mine in grade school, and that's kind of when I actually started creating my own characters. So besides wanting to draw comics, I also started making some of my own up. And the short pitch of that one is, what if you basically took elements of Batman and Iron Man and tossed them into Star Wars? But basically, I decided, while I was working full time as a concept artist for the video game industry, I sort of brushed that character off and was like, well, there's different things now with technology and the internet, of course, now being a conduit to reach people and network. I'm like, I might as well actually sort of give this a shot. But I built it as an animation project because I figured if I was going to try and get studios involved and potential investors, I think it would be easier to get an animation project off the ground than a live action sci-fi project because, people tend to think those are expensive.
Yeah, right.
They can be, but I'm still a believer in that, like Star Trek and Star Wars, things can be done on a limited budget, but you can still create an amazing universe. It doesn't all have to be shown with the CGI effects, that people think. But so for the last several years, I got issue 1 of the comic done, which was published in USA Today a few years ago. I'm trying to get the other 3 issues wrapped up because, you sort of have to create these on the side, and I haven't had a lot of time to do that. But, it's been published in USA Today, and then I had some merchandise prototypes created that have been seen on the show The Big Bang Theory.
Cool.
Also a few years ago, and then it's been optioned for TV and film development 3 different times from the Hollywood studios. The unfortunate part is that when you're dealing with certain aspects of Hollywood, there's still kind of this old school philosophy that when people see something, and especially when it's science fiction, they get scared, like I said earlier, because they're thinking, well, this is going to have a large budget to get done. And so I think in some aspects, that's worked against me with the project. And also on the same token, if they see something that kind of has aspects of superheroes and science fiction, they're sort of ready to say, well, we've already got Star Trek and Star Wars.
Yeah.
And there's really no room for anything else in that market, which I couldn't disagree more. I always tell people, I'm like, that would be the same kind of philosophy that would have stopped The Walking Dead in its tracks,
right.
No pun intended. But basically, like they would say, well, zombies are not popular, the zombie genre. There's already been The Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, those kind of films. So nobody wants to see zombie stuff. That's already been done. And then look what that show has become.
Right. Oh, and my host and I go back and forth all the time about this culture of reboots that, Hollywood has. And here you have presented us with brand new material that I would love to see because I know your first issue is out on the net. You can read it from Scribd, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, the USA Today version.
Right, exactly. And I thought it was incredible. I want to see that as an animated series. So
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, but you are no slacker, sir, because it seems to me you're so busy, you're working on so many projects, and you kind of brought up a good point about, well, maybe they're not so interested in sci-fi, but you have another project called The Steampunk Adventures of Salem, Tusk. Tell me about this.
Well, like I mentioned, Black Alpha was a creation of my childhood years. Salem Tusk is a creation of mine when I was a junior in high school. I was 16, and I was always in love with the pulp heroes that I kind of heard about, growing up. I was familiar with characters like Doc Savage, a lot of the characters from the early 20th century, and then, of course, Frank Frazetta, an amazing fantasy illustrator that most people know, used to do these covers for like Conan and Tarzan and John Carter and stuff. And I wanted to do a character like that. And so one day I had this image of a bald, muscular African-American guy actually riding a woolly mammoth. Okay. And I think that's where the Tusk part comes from. But that was just sort of the initial image. And then not too long after that, I played around with the notion of doing kind of an Indiana Jones style adventure initially. Like I was going to set it in the 30s and kind of had these sort of like those kind of adventures that Indiana Jones and heroes like him had. But as time has moved on, I also realized how much I appreciated, what is now known as steampunk. Like I grew up watching the old Wild Wild West TV show with Robert Conrad.
Right.
And one of the first films I ever saw was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And I was very familiar with the works of H.G. Wells and Jules Verne. And like I said, those things were like early steampunk before I knew what the term was. But same kind of thing, though, like Black Alpha, Salem Tusk has been living my imagination for decades. But one particular month this summer, I was part of this group that is by James Neil Brodus, called The Advisor. And it's a Facebook group where he connects like filmmakers and actors and musicians and just sort of creative spirits all together. And he saw this post about Salem Tusk. So he actually hooked me up with an actor named Bishop Stevens, who used to be a WWE wrestler, and then he's appeared on The Walking Dead, and he thought we would be a perfect fit for each other. And Bishop loved it, and it's kind of just sort of taken off from there. Like he's gotten, the steampunk community involved there in St. Louis, and we just got done filming some footage here a couple of weeks ago, and it looks amazing. It looks like an already completed TV or film project. And so that's kind of been the opposite of Black Alpha, where Black Alpha has been trying to be made in the last several years, and then with Bishop and I and kind of pulling resources and our networking contacts have made Salem Tusk take off in a matter of just 5 months basically.
Wow, that's incredible. So the stuff, because I saw it on your Facebook page where you guys were in St. Louis, is that for a sizzle reel?
It's we're doing a teaser trailer first to give the tone of what the story in the world looks like.
All right.
And like I said, I admitted to Bishop, so here's one of my other creations, and it's actually going to take on life way farther along than Black Alpha is. So, you're kind of worried about, hopefully it's going to be good, but you're not sure until you see stuff. And then when I saw footage of the video from the day that they were shooting, and then they rented out the St. Louis Museum that day, so that became a close set. So between that and the way everyone looked in their costumes and just everything, and the way that it's being directed by Thomas Nickel, because of that, it looks amazing. And so that sort of put maybe any nervousness I had at ease. And like I said, we're continuing to move forward. And so our next step basically is we're going to have a trailer probably ready to show people here in about the next month or two.
Okay.
That's, going to have everything edited together. And there's going to be some CGI with a battle between two airships. And then, a little bit of effects and the music and everything, just to have that to present.
Well,
and we're exploring several conduits, I guess, besides the classic studio system, how to get it out there for an audience.
Well, and with all these streaming options, you've got so much available to you. So I don't see any way you couldn't get it out at this point, right?
Yeah. I mean, probably the only hurdle that I think sometimes that we have is no different than Black Alpha in the sense that it's a new property, and steampunk, like sci-fi, is probably another genre that people get a little concerned about. But I guess what I'll reiterate is that things that have become household names, in my opinion, like Star Trek and Star Wars, they've been around for half a century. I feel like the studios could take a lesson from those models, how those kind of, sprung to life. And neither one of them had a lot of belief behind them, and they were new. They weren't following trends when both of them came out. And I guess I would just love to see somebody, in the entertainment realm sort of realize that if you want to create the next Star Trek or Star Wars, to me, you sort of have to take a little bit of the risk that was involved in the creation of both of those, and learn too, like I said, just because it's science fiction, it doesn't mean it has to be, like I said, it's exposition is a huge component that people will understand, like the world when characters reference stuff, like in a line of dialogue, and the viewer gets like an immediate idea, maybe just how big these worlds are. That's what I'm hoping, that we can sort of help move forward with stuff like Salem Tusk as well. That I'm like, we can probably do it for a lower budget and still have the quality be great.
I feel like now we should just jump up and, can I get an amen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no, you're so absolutely right. Tell folks where they can find your absolutely stunning artwork and how they can keep up with both Black Alpha and Salem Tusk.
Well, I will say that, I pretty much promote heavily on Facebook nowadays. So if anybody wants to go to Facebook and look for Tom Rasch, last name is spelled R-A-S-C-H. And then Black Alpha, you can find, I have a Facebook page for that. And then we also have a Facebook page for the Steampunk Adventures of Salem Tusk. That's pretty much heavily where I promote. But I will say this, I am looking at probably launching a new Tom Rasch website that will sort of have everything that I'm doing, because I have other projects besides those two, but basically to kind of keep everybody up to date. Hoping to have that running here in a couple months. But for now, like I said, if people want to find what I'm doing, just go ahead and check everything that I'm doing on Facebook.
That's fantastic, Tom. Now, look, I'm telling you, we're going to touch back with you very soon in order to get updates on where you're at. I can't wait to see this incredible stuff you're working on, and I appreciate you taking the time tonight.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, and I look forward to kind of seeing what happens there. But yeah, so let's keep in touch for sure.
Hey, gang, don't turn off that podcast. Here's that promised extra material from our guest, Ted Walley. Enjoy.
Captain's Log Supplemental, the Week in Geek Radio Show, Extended Edition. This is your host, D Squared, along with
Brian Held.
Captain, my captain.
Yes.
So this is the extended stuff we promised people.
Yeah, no.
Can we say
I guess, yeah.
Too late. I already said said it twice now.
I'm going to go and bleep that so I don't have to check the little explicit box on our podcast. Yeah.
Dang it. You should have warned me before we started this.
It's fine. I'll bleep it. It's no big deal.
Oh, because good. About time you do your damn work around here.
I'm the only one who edits and posts. So, Joe...
I like to do it live. What's wrong? We'll do it live.
Right. Joe Parton will be happy because he's been begging me for additional content. And so... without further ado, we're going to get into part 2 with our guest, Ted Walley. Ted, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yeah, good.
Dave, you shouldn't have said like that.
I know, what the man?
Yeah, well,
Mate, we're going to make Brian work hard.
Yes.
He works hard for his money.
Mm-hmm.
I like this. I feel free, like I'm sitting in my underwear at home on the couch, man. This is good stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's actually sitting in his underwear here.
I am.
So
Don't shatter the illusion, Ted.
No, they've already got this vision.
So when we left you from the previous segment, Ted, you were talking about working with Anthony Mackie and Frank Grillo and all that stuff, but you said you couldn't talk a whole lot about that production. Like what?
Like I can't. They're very very clear about in terms of I can talk about what the movie, the movie's title. It's directed by Joe Lynch, who awesome guy, and I can say who's in it and what the movie's about, but they don't want me to talk about like what I did, so I can't show any of the artwork.
Okay.
I can't talk about the scene that my artwork is in because after seeing it shot, I can understand it's it's a kind of a spoiler sort of thing. They want people to really kind of be wrapped up in it. But it was a lot of fun. And Anthony Mackie is a very, very sweet guy who, as I was telling you earlier, interestingly enough, as the Falcon, he has a giant motor home, and so he does this whole so he drives whenever he can.
So like Madden,
like
right?
Madden.
Yeah.
Look at you, Brian, making a sports reference.
You like that? Huh?
I do. I really do.
Yeah.
He's been working on it since we've been like going on break and stuff like that. Who's that guy again that did that?
I've been Googling everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you spell his name? Is that 2 D's? 2 N's?
It's spelled Hebert, but it's pronounced a bear.
So I'm glad that we had this time with you, Ted. Because I want to dig into something. You're not new to Hollywood, right? This production's not your first. Tell me about working on SuperCon.
Oh man, if anyone, and this is a little kind of crowning sort of thing in terms of SuperCon, is that if you've ever bought like the DVD or the Blu-ray and listened to the special commentary and stuff like that, like the director's commentary is with my buddy Freddie Woff, and like within the first 5 minutes of the commentary, they're talking about me.
Nice.
And they credit me at the end of the movie, so if you stay for the end of the credits under the special thanks, just under I think just as Zach thanks his wife, they thank Ted Walley. So there it is. And the name spelled right and everything. I was so touched.
And Dave, if you're not aware, that's Zach Nutston, who was the sexy stud from Clerks 2.
No, huh?
Yes.
Nice.
And he is also one of the bounty hunters in Mel Gibson's Get the Gringo.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say one of the bounty hunters in Critters.
Maybe. Zach's been around for a while. So
yeah.
Done a lot of good stuff. Zach
SuperCon, that was the one filmed in the West Bank, right? Over in the Hilario Center?
At the Hilario Center.
They still have a shrine set up.
They do.
Yeah.
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 Good stuff.
It is. So, yeah, for those that don't know, SuperCon, you can watch it on Prime still, and the DVD, of course, and a good buddy of mine, Derek Donovan, who was just up at a Louisville Comic-Con, said that he ran into Dana Snyder, and who was one of the script writers of SuperCon, and he told my buddy Derek that SuperCon was actually, what was it, #1 in Iran?
Wow.
Wait, whoa, number 1 in Iran, but it was banned in Russia.
Wow.
How did that happen?
I guess Russia doesn't like to hear watch scenes about
vodka,
power bottoms.
No vodka in this movie, and no nuclear vessels.
Yeah, so they didn't like to hear about scenes about who's going to be a power bottom.
And there's poop jokes too, right?
There's lots. That was an amazing scene. Let me tell you that after I was done shooting everything that they wanted me to shoot, Freddie, again, awesome guy, he and Zach, and I remember I was done, and Zach's like, "So what you doing tomorrow?" I was like, "Actually, I think I'm done with all the scenes out here." It's like, "Oh, if you want, you can come hang out." And Freddie's like, "Yeah, come hang out. I'll show you some other stuff." So I wound up coming out to the set and just hanging out in the back, watching them shoot stuff, and so I got to have a nice talk about comics with Clancy Brown, and who's in the movie is the villain of the piece. And
yeah, he's like the big name star.
Yeah,
right?
he's like this parody character of like all these really egotistical stars kind of rolled up in one. Kind of. He was actually impressed that I made the reference to Bill Shatner's skit on Saturday Night Live where he loses it and says, "Hey, you with the ears." Yeah, that's stuff that he knew about, and he was just like, "I'm so glad someone is getting what I'm doing here." So yeah, he'd during one of his scenes, he came up and like out of the blue, I'm just standing there, watching him film, and he comes walking up, and while they're readjusting lights or something like that, and he's like, "You're an actual comic guy, like you're like being paid to play yourself, right?" That's what I hear, and I was like, "Yeah," because they had my name on a table banner, and I'm credited as Ted Walley as himself. So I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "So what's your take on Preacher?" And Preacher had just come out as a series, and it's like I told him, I was like, "Well," I said, my logic of it is you've seen just about everyone's seen Jaws, right, and can agree that that's probably an awesome film, maybe even a desert island film in poor taste." And he's like, yeah, that's a great movie. I was like, "All right, did you ever read the book?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, man, maybe a long time ago." I was like, "Okay, well, did you know the original story? Did you read the original story that eventually based the book on?" He's like, "No, that I'm not familiar with." I was like, "Okay, well, all three are completely different from one another. Completely different from one another. Yet we'll all agree that the movie was really damn good, and a lot of us will agree that the book was really damn good, and they actually wound up doing a movie on Netflix about the original story." And so that's my take of it is like, Preacher, there's just going to be some things. I mean, watching them film stuff and talk on SuperCon set and talking to my, Freddie and stuff like that, a lot of fans, they want these literal translations of the comics. And if you take a lot of just the dialogue and put it on paper, it's nowhere near enough to fill 30 minutes. When we're reading a book, it takes us longer to read a paragraph describing the exterior of a house because the writer's got to paint that for us. In a movie or a TV show, it takes, 5 seconds.
Right.
Yeah, to get to establish that shot. So my logic of it was, as long as you're telling the story and you may have to change some things, it's just going to happen. There's no way the John Wayne estate is going to allow them to use John Wayne's likeness on this TV show where they're talking about, this guy who had male prostitutes sent to his room instead of female prostitutes, and we got to see the scene. There's some things that you got, in order to get what you want, you're going to have to kind of relax a little bit, and it's just not going to be verbatim. Verbatim, if you think about it, I've already got that. I've already got the book. So tell me the story again and do what you need to do, but, just as long as you stick to the kind of gist of it, I think you're good.
Yeah, the first time I really got that impression was with The Lord of the Rings.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I had a huge argument with a friend of mine who wanted this literal translation, and I'm like, he's like, "I could have did it better," and I'm like, "Okay, you explain to me the Battle of Pelennor Fields and how you do it," and he started to explain it, and I'm like, "Okay, the average moviegoer, 30 seconds into your explanation would be snoring, dude."
Yeah, it's just like
it's Game of Thrones. When that season 1 was almost verbatim for the book, and I kind of started to get bored with it. And once they got away from it and did their own sort of storytelling, it blossomed into its full beauty.
I think that's, and it's it was really kind of reassuring because he gave me a hug afterwards. Just like, he's like, you get it. He's like, you get it. You're gonna go far. Yeah, the Kurgan. Actually, I think of it as Mr. Krabs gave me a hug, and So yeah, Mr. Krabs gave me a hug and said, you get it. You're gonna. He's like rubbing my shoulder. He's like, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna do good here. So yeah, it was. But it was a lot of fun, and I still do work with those guys every now and then, and still talk to Zach, and Zach has been trying to work with me on trying to get Mathilda turned into a comic book show, television show, and. It's kind of challenging because my name doesn't draw a whole lot of water in Hollywood.
Well,
so, there you go.
If you become friends with Frank Grillo and Anthony Mackie, though.
I wouldn't say friends. We didn't exchange any personal information or anything like that. But
I think I still got Frank's phone number. I'm serious because we had him on the show 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I think
that dude is bat bleep crazy.
He is.
I mean, like he loves getting punched in the face.
He does have that that show. I think this is also on Netflix. It's all where he goes around experimenting with the different fighting styles and stuff like that. So yeah, he enjoys getting punched in the face probably as much as he enjoys punching people. Yeah. I think.
And we've been trying to get Anthony Mackie on the show since he lives here. Like, dude, just, and that's been a tough sell. Like, I got his agent's information out of Wizard World, and the guy just kept, he's too busy.
He is a busy guy. But I will say that if you guys luck out and ever get him on here, he is just as sweet as pie. He is just, he's a nice guy, really nice guy. They filmed me, or rather, not filmed me, but when they filmed the scene that I did the artwork for, they flew me up to Cincinnati where they were filming at, and this is the movie that's coming out next year called Point Blank, and put me up in a hotel, and it was just so awesome. I mean, they were like worried I was bored, but they're like, yeah, we're going to show you all these sets. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is awesome. I get to see everything as you guys build it and things like that. And so I was on the set for the fight scene, and Anthony Mackie he was on the set too, and they told him, hey, this is the guy that did the artwork, and I think he's from New Orleans. And they're like being all coy about it, but they're like, I think he's from New Orleans. And Anthony Mackie's like, local boy, 504 in the house. Nice big handshake and stuff like that. And so yeah, it was, of course, come by my bus. I'm like, your bus? Yeah. He's like, yeah, it's right over there. I was like, Anthony Mackie, the Falcon, does not fly.
Hey, look,
and he gives you jambalaya.
Not a big fan.
Yeah, he was cooking jambalaya.
So, real quick, while we're talking about Anthony Mackie, Anthony Mackie a while ago says superheroes are the death of the movie star. What do you think about that? Did you catch any of that when that?
I did not catch it. Some people have asked me about my students in the comic book class. They're plugged in a lot more than sometimes a lot more than I wish they were, and sometimes more than I wish I was that plugged in. But yeah, they had asked me my 2 cents about it, and I guess everyone has a right to define their craft. And as you guys and I were just talking about, how the differences of radio, what it is today versus what we remember it used to be, and even when I was in college, and college radio station was kind of done the way we were talking about, the old school way. So I guess everyone, when you're involved in the profession, you're the one that gets to say what that profession means to you. And so he's entitled to say that based off of what he's vested into it. So, but there's going to be other people that are going to be like, no, this is actually kind of fun. I enjoyed being the superhero and being the person that, is going to inspire somebody or have a poster of me on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's wrong, but I mean, it's not like he's 100% right.
Exactly,
either,
yeah.
I mean,
well, it's interesting because, there's so many blockbusters that they would get somebody like a Tom Cruise or Sylvester Stallone or somebody, and that would be part of the draw to bring people in the seats. But now that really doesn't matter that much anymore, right?
Like Boseman. The lead in Black Panther.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in 42, and there's a couple other movies. He was just phenomenal. But when he got picked as Black Panther, I was like, great. At least I know it will be done well.
Right.
I mean, at least I know the guy's got acting chops. But I went to go see Black Panther, not Boseman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's to me is the thing is when I don't know if it's the death knell of the modern leading man or anything like that, because I don't think it's the same kind of typecasting that the Adam West's experience and stuff like that, because Adam West was at one point being considered for 007, and
wow,
yeah, it was his name was on somebody's desk at one point I read, and I just don't think being the superhero is a typecast anymore. And it's part of a resume that, because there are some, like I read that Johnny Depp did the Pirates movies, and that was what inspired Robert Downey Jr. to do Iron Man, was that he had taken his kid to see, like, the second movie or something like that, and he was just like, that's a legacy,
Yeah.
and I can see that, and he's got his kid
That's
with
true.
him.
Yeah.
And so I think some people see it as, I think they do see it in terms of what it means to a lot of people, even those that aren't the hardcore nerds like us, that that are going to see Captain Marvel for the first time, and it's someone that's other than Wonder Woman,
right?
That's a female character, and that's an inspiration to people. You don't know who's going to 20 years from now that they're going to say that's what lit my fire, was that made me believe I could do this and I can do that. Yeah. So I agree with you, Dave, that Anthony Mackie is right, and he gets to say that about his belief of it. But I think there's a polite disagreement with it too, in terms of well, maybe if you looked at it like this,
right. And I still love The Rock. I don't think of The Rock as a WWE. I mean, look, Rampage is a very guilty pleasure. I watched it last night. I loved it. I know it's terrible, but still. And Mark Wahlberg. I don't think of him as the Funky Bunch anymore.
Right.
He's good. I like the dude.
Yeah. So we can start a segue, because you bring up some excellent points about how things were and how things they are now.
Mm-hmm.
And the three of us here are lifelong comic book readers.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? And the medium and the technology has completely changed the scape of comics everywhere. So what sort of challenges are you facing as a comic book artist to meet the fans and get your product out there and just engage this audience that consumes things in a much different fashion?
It's a challenge in terms of, because I run into this a lot with the comic class that I teach at Delgado. Not necessarily a plug, but no, because that's usually the thing that students are asking, and I get asked a lot. And there, of course, is no singular path to follow. But it is being aware of what it is that you are pitching to people. So I usually tell people is that if you're going to do a book, you got to decide right off the bat, why you're doing the book, as corny as that sounds. So if they're saying, like, I've had people that I do it for the love of it. Oh, that's fantastic. And then I run into them a couple of years later. It's like, so what's going on with your book? Oh, I had to stop doing that, man. I was losing so much money on it. Well, then you weren't doing it for the love of it. You wanted to get money out of it, which is fine. It's totally perfectly all right to say, I want money out of this. That's fine. Then that means your responsibility is you got to put out something that people want to buy, because you're challenging their discretionary income for other things. So that means that's technically your bosses at this point, and so you've got to come up with a hook that is going to make people pull out their wallets. So with my stuff, it's looking at what it is and saying to myself, like, if I'm going to a convention and I see that, like San Diego, Comic-Con is a good example. A lot of people ask, why don't you do San Diego? I was like, well, because San Diego, the people that are going to San Diego aren't going to see the little new guy. They're going to see the latest Star Wars trailer. They're going to see all this, media stuff.
Yeah, the last comic book vendor finally pulled out of San Diego Comic-Con.
Exactly, yeah. And so it's looking at the conventions and saying to yourself, okay, and it's literally looking at the guest list. You can tell who the crowd is going to be. And if I'm going there, like if the guest list is a lot of anime people, well, then I'm probably not going to go there, because no one's going there looking for my stuff, because they're going there cosplaying as their favorite anime person. Yeah. So I got to a lot of people, I think, really got to be kind of smart about looking at what you're selling and kind of partnering up. So I'm trying to do a couple of conventions here locally, and I want to try and do one out of state so that I can, get my name out there beyond the local market.
Yeah. What cons are you going to be doing coming up?
Can't really say right now.
Okay.
Because they're still in the discussion stages in terms of they're kind of working out formats and things like that, who else are going to be there and things like that. So most of them have asked me to be quiet.
All right. No, that's fair.
But I'll definitely let you guys know because we always talk on the Facebooks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I'll let you guys know.
Cool.
So Mathilda versus the third grade. Once again, I think we kind of ran to break last time. How do people get it, and what's going on with it?
Well, right now, I think this week I'm gonna. I finally got some time on my table with the semester wrapping up that I can talk to the local shops and see who wants to carry it, and so I can let you guys know what shops it's going in. But usually, BSI has carried it in the past in Crescent City, and More Fun they've all carried in the past, but. So yeah, I'm just going to reach out to some places, and my lovely, lovely wife is working with the 3 shops, 3 different shops, and I think I want to say New Orleans Public Library about doing a signing there. Stuff like that.
And look, I love the way the libraries have kind of morphed with the times too, because I'll go there with both my sons, and they have anime sections now.
Yeah.
They have all the graphic novels of everything. So it's funny too because I can bring my kid there. Like all my comics got destroyed in Katrina. I've got some G.I. Joes left and a couple of random ass comic books. But I can go there and be like, hey dude, this is what I read. This is
nice.
Check this out. And so I gave him the entire series of Transformers, the 80s version,
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, what? I'm like, just read it. Just trust me, read it. And so it's there. Otherwise, I'd have to go buy it, shell out a boatload of cash because I'm Katrina.
Yeah.
But the libraries do it, and that's just one branch, the Jefferson Parish Library. I know they got it at all of them, and it's just I guess the nerd in me is so happy that the libraries are keeping up with the times, though.
Yeah, because
know your audience, kind of like what
exactly
we brought it back full circle.
Yeah, that's how the bit works.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that wasn't at libraries when we were kids.
No, not at all. Those are the devil's rags.
Exactly. So so she's trying to work out on doing some public signings, and you can order it directly from me online and at voodoo-maverick.com or Google my name, Ted Walley. And I'm on all the social medias, so please follow me there if you want. And I'm always posting up updates of some kind of what I'm working on.
Does your Twitter handle have any kind of connection to like a politician? Because we got a sportscaster here in town, Jeff Duncan, and there's a Jeff Duncan politician up north. And so like every other day he gets, "You suck, I hope you die," tweets. It's awesome.
No? Apparently you Google Ted Walley, Ted with 2 Ds, and I am the only name that comes up. So
good for you.
Exactly. I am.
Boy, are you lucky.
That's why I love my last name, DeCorbier. It's just me and like 5 of my family members.
Look, the junior does it for me, man. I'm the only Brian Held Jr. on Facebook.
Really?
Yes.
Somebody was kind of like, wow, that's a bland-ass name. I'm not going to rename my kid that.
Right. Pretty much.
It's like they lost interest halfway through the naming. We're going to call him Brian, I guess.
Brian.
And whatever you want, kid. So,
oh, man.
All righty. All right, I feel good. I think we got it all done.
Yeah,
man.
no, that's
Sweet.
awesome. Well, Ted, thank you so much for taking
time
to come
I'm
in.
sorry it was so long. I should have realistically come in like after SuperCon, but I was hip deep in trying to get this book done, and then right around when the book was done, because I know you and I talked about it, that I didn't want to come on until I had something new. Then Point Blank jumped right on my table literally while the book was at the printer, and I had to crank that out pretty quickly for Freddie, and so yeah. Sorry it took so long, guys. But,
it's all good, man. Nothing but love.
Nothing but love. I love hanging out with you guys as always, and we're gonna have to do it a little sooner.
Yep. All right.
You know what? As always, we want to strongly urge you to check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/The Week in Geek. Check out our website at twigradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Twig Radio and the Instagrams, The Week in Geek. Now, Brian, how can people listen to this lovely show?
Well, if you missed any part of tonight's show or you want to catch your favorite part again, you can always find us on Spreaker.com or download Spreaker for your smartphone or tablet. We're also on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher,
and your mama's house.
Rebroadcast on the Edge Radio US every Monday at 7.
Wow.
The iHeartRadio app and at WRNO.com.
Till next time, keep your nerd flag raised high.
GFL.
Want Johnson & Johnson, making mornings great on News Talk 99.5 WRNO FM, New Orleans. An iHeart radio station.